Can a person still live after losing their dream? That question echoed inside Zahra's heart every single day. She never said it aloud, but her silence carried its weight. Every sigh, every long stare toward the mountains that framed her small village, whispered that same unspoken thought. The village itself was little more than a scattering of mud brick homes clinging to the edge of survival. Goats wandered freely between narrow lanes, and smoke curled lazily from clay ovens. Beyond the fields lay the dark outline of Mount Daraj, whose shadow stretched across the land at sunset, like a curtain drawn between day and night. And at the foot of that mountain stood something older than any villager alive, a cracked, moss-covered structure that people called the Well of Dreams. No one knew who had built it. Some said it was a gift from forgotten gods. Others said it was a curse, a bottomless mouth that swallowed what people loved most. Zahra was a widow. 3 years had passed since the mining accident that took her husband, Adil, but time hadn't softened the blow. It had only taught her how to hide it better. Each morning she rose before dawn. She would light a small oil lamp, whisper Adil's name, and then begin her work, washing clothes by the river, mending torn garments for neighbors, and sometimes weaving straw mats to sell at the weekly bazaar. Her hands were rough, her back bent, but her eyes, those deep, dark eyes, still carried a strange fire. That fire had a name, Ayan. Her son was only 10 when Adil died, yet his gaze already mirrored the same quiet determination his father once had. He was her everything, her reason to keep breathing when life turned bitter. But poverty is a relentless shadow. No matter how fast Zahra worked, hunger always reached her home before hope did. Many nights she would hear Ayan's stomach growl as he tried to pretend he wasn't hungry. She would smile, tear a piece of bread in half, and tell him she had already eaten, even though she hadn't. The lies of mothers are often made of love, not deceit. One evening, as she sat outside her home watching the fading sun paint the mountains crimson, she overheard villagers talking near the well. Their voices carried through the wind. "They say the well still listens," an old man said. Another chuckled nervously. "Listens, yes, but it takes more than it gives." That night, those words clung to Zahra's mind like smoke that refused to clear. The moon hid behind a veil of thick clouds when Zahra finally made her way to the well. The forest path was silent except for the rustle of leaves beneath her feet. Each step echoed like a heartbeat in the night. When she reached the clearing, the well loomed before her. Ancient stones draped in moss, cracks running through its surface like veins on an old hand. The air around it felt colder, heavier, almost alive. Zahra stood there trembling. Her heart said, "Turn back." Her hope said, "Stay." She leaned forward, her reflection rippling faintly in the dark water below. And then she whispered, "If you can truly hear dreams, make my son successful. Let him rise above this life. I'll give anything in return." For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, a single ripple spread across the surface. The sound of faint wind brushed her ear, though the trees were still. It almost felt like something had listened. Zahra stepped back, her hands trembling. The night seemed to hold its breath, but she said nothing more. She simply turned and walked home, clutching her shawl as though it might protect her from whatever unseen promise she had just made. The next morning, life seemed ordinary again, until the city men came. They arrived in shining cars, wearing crisp clothes that glimmered in the sunlight. The villagers gathered around in awe as one of them spoke. "We are offering scholarships to children from poor families, those who show talent and dedication." Each mother held her breath. Each father whispered a silent prayer. Names were called from a list. When the man said Ayan, son of Adil and Zahra, Zahra nearly dropped the basket in her hands. She didn't even remember running forward, just that she was suddenly holding the paper they gave her, tears streaming down her face. The words blurred, but she didn't need to read them. She knew what they meant. Ayan was going to the city. Her dream, their dream, it was coming true. That night, Zahra knelt before her small clay lamp and whispered, Maybe the well really listens." But deep inside her chest, a cold flutter of fear began to stir. At first, it was just small things. Zahra began to squint while sewing. The threads tangled more often than before. She blamed the dim light, the smoke from the lamp, her age, anything but fear. Then one morning she looked into the mirror and saw that her eyes were cloudier than usual. The next week, she couldn't tell if it was day or dusk unless she stepped outside. And soon after, she stopped seeing faces altogether, only shapes, shadows, light fading around the edges. She went to the local doctor. a kind man who frowned as he examined her eyes. "It's not an infection," he said slowly. "Your eyes, they're losing light." "Losing light?" she repeated, confused. He hesitated. "As if your body is giving up something it shouldn't." The words echoed. Every dream has a cost. Zahra didn't tell anyone. She continued to smile for Ayan, to cook, to pray, but every night the darkness inside her eyes grew thicker. Months passed. Ayan went away for school and first time leaving the village. His letters came every 2 weeks filled with excitement and guilt. "Ami, the city is huge. The buildings touch the sky. But I miss your roti and the smell of wet earth after rain." She would trace each word with her fingers, her failing eyes struggling to read, then fold the letter carefully and place it in a wooden box beside Adil's photograph. Whenever she missed them too much, she would sit outside and imagine both her men there. Adil smiling beside the lamp, Ayan laughing, the house filled with warmth. But that warmth began to fade as her sight dimmed completely. The day she went completely blind, she sat quietly and said aloud, "So this is the price." Life became a map of sounds and memories. Zahra learned to move by touch, counting steps, remembering textures. The villagers helped her when they could, but she refused pity. "Allah has taken my eyes, not my strength," she would say with a smile that no one dared challenge. Sometimes late at night, she would hear whispers near her window, like the murmur of water echoing from far away. "Dreams are never free," the voice seemed to sigh, but Zahra would only whisper back, "I know." Years rolled on. One summer afternoon, a car stopped at the edge of the village. Children ran after it, shouting with excitement. Zahra, sitting near her doorway, heard the commotion but didn't rise, until she heard a voice she knew deep in her bones. "Ami!" Her heart stopped, then raced. Ayan rushed toward her, taller now, his voice deeper. He knelt before her, taking her hands in his. "I did it, Ami. I finished university." "They offered me a job in the city." Zahra smiled, her eyes wet though they could no longer see. "Let me touch your face," she said softly. Her fingers traced his features, the strong jaw, the familiar smile. "Yes," she whispered, "you've become your father." The entire village gathered, clapping, cheering. Someone handed Ayan a garland. Children ran around with laughter in their voices. But Zahra sat silently, her sightless eyes lifted toward the sound of his joy. That night, after everyone had left and the stars shimmered like silver dust above, Zahra sat alone outside her home. The wind carried the scent of rain. Somewhere in the distance, the well waited, silent, ancient. Ayan joined her. "Ami, when I was small, you told me about the Well of Dreams. Did you ever go there?" She smiled faintly. "Some stories are better left half told, my son." He took her hand. "Whatever you wished for." It came true. She nodded, yes. "But remember, Ayan, light doesn't die when it leaves the eyes. It just finds another place to shine." He didn't understand fully, but he would, someday. Later that night, when the village slept, a soft wind brushed across the mountains. If anyone had been awake, they might have heard it, the faintest whisper rising from the old stone well. Every dream has a cost, but love never counts it. Years later, people told stories about Zahra, how she lost her sight but not her courage, how her son built a school in her name, how, even in blindness, she saw more clearly than most who still had eyes. And sometimes, when the wind was right, children claimed they could hear a soft voice near the well, a mother's voice, murmuring to the darkness, "Walk into the dark, so someone else can find their light." Moral: no dream comes without sacrifice. Every wish carries a shadow, a price waiting to be paid. But when love fuels the dream, the payment never feels like loss, because even in darkness, those who give selflessly become the light that guides others.